Gotta say, not every day we dive into analysis this bold.
Yeah, this one's really grabbing the bull by the horn. So
It really is. We're talking about some serious Bitcoin predictions here. And the kicker is the whole argument hinges on the fact that so many people are doubting Bitcoin right now.
oh, the classic contrarian play. Love it. So what's the gist? Give me the rundown.
All right, so we got this analysis claiming Bitcoin's about to make a major move upwards, and they're laying out 7 reasons why. But the core,
Hmm.
it's this widespread skepticism in the market.
Right, because when everyone's expecting one thing.
Exactly, like setting the stage for a massive surprise. And speaking of surprises, get this analysis actually throws out a specific date and price.
Oh, bold move. They actually put a pin on it. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So they highlight specific date price as this critical support level. And their claim, they're saying if Bitcoin can just hold above this point,
Boom.
boom, it could be the start of something huge.
And that's where the technical analysis comes into play, right? Because we've seen Bitcoin consolidating for a good chunk of this year.
Yeah, just kind of bouncing around.
Right. But this analysis, they're saying that's not just random movement. It's Bitcoin building a base above this key support level, no less.
So it's not just random noise, it's like,
A coiled spring.
yes, ready to unleash.
Hmm?
I love it. But, okay, we've got this technical setup. What's the fuel? What's going to light this rocket?
I'm all ears.
Well, they dive deep into market sentiment, and apparently, let's just say a lot of investors are feeling a little cautious.
Understandably so. I mean, we've seen this before. People get burned, they get a little gun shy.
Right, once bitten, twice shy. But that's exactly what makes this so interesting.
Because that hesitancy, that fear, it can create.
The perfect storm.
Precisely. And the analysis actually uses a really interesting example to illustrate this. They talk about Coinbase's App Store ranking.
Okay, I'm listening.
So back in March, Bitcoin was hovering around $72,000. Coinbase, it was riding high, like number 20 in the App Store.
Making sense.
Fast forward to today, Bitcoin, what is it, $68,000. Essentially the same price point. But Coinbase, they've plummeted to 440th in the rankings.
Wow, that's wild. From high roller to, well, not so much.
Exactly. And to them, this suggests something pretty important. It tells them that the average everyday investor, we're not stampeding back into crypto just yet,
We're a little hesitant.
to say the least. And they back this up with another point. Declining Google search interest for crypto, Bitcoin, the whole shebang.
Huh. So it's not just about the app rankings, it's like a general lack of hype.
You got it. It's like everyone's heard this song before, you know. They're waiting for the chorus, waiting to see that this time it's actually different.
So everyone's kind of snoozing on Bitcoin right when it's about to have its moment.
Maybe. That's the question, right?
Right. But if retail investors are MIA, who's keeping the lights on? Who's propping up this market?
Well, that's where things get interesting. Remember, this analysis goes beyond just surface-level observations. They're connecting this lack of retail frenzy to something else.
Oh, lay it on me. What's the deeper play here?
Think bigger players. Think institutions.
Ah, the big dogs. They're using this quiet period to their advantage.
That's the theory. While everyone else is distracted, the smart money is moving in, scooping up Bitcoin under the radar.
Risky move. Or is it brilliant timing?
Well, this analysis seems to think it's the latter, especially when you factor in what's happening in the broader economic landscape.
Because it's not just about Bitcoin, right? It's about all the other forces at play.
Exactly. This is where the analysis gets really granular, really interesting. They point to this surge in global liquidity.
More money in the system.
Essentially, more money flowing around, looking for a home. And historically, Bitcoin has shown some sensitivity to these kinds of shifts.
So more money sloshing around, Bitcoin's just sitting there. I'm starting to see the logic here.
Right. And it's not just a hunch. They highlight how global liquidity just broke out of a 3-year downward trend.
3 years? Okay, that's significant.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a big deal. And it makes you wonder what happens next.
Right, because we know how this goes. More money looking for a home, Bitcoin primed for a breakout.
And on top of that, they add another layer.
Oh, there's more. Don't hold out on me.
They bring up Bitcoin's shrinking supply.
Wait, less Bitcoin to go around?
You got it. They're specifically looking at the amount of Bitcoin available on exchanges, and guess what? It's hit an all-time low.
Okay, so basic economics, supply and demand. Less Bitcoin, same, or even more demand.
Prices go up, exactly. And remember those institutional investors we talked about. This could be a sign they're loading up, taking Bitcoin off the exchanges and locking it away.
So it's like a secret Bitcoin accumulation party, and we weren't invited.
Maybe not yet. But that's what makes this analysis so compelling.
Mm-hmm.
They're connecting the dots, painting a picture of a market that's primed for a shift.
Okay, I'm hooked. So we've got the technicals, we've got the big players, we've got the macro trends. Anything else? What else could possibly factor in?
Oh, they do throw in a bit of a curveball.
Of course they do. What is it this time? Aliens.
No aliens. They bring up the upcoming U.S. election.
The election. Okay, how does that play into all of this?
They seem to believe that a Trump victory could be a catalyst for Bitcoin.
Interesting. And I can see where they're coming from. Haven't some people speculated that Trump might embrace Bitcoin, like as a key part of U.S. financial policy?
Right, and think about his stance on traditional financial systems. It's not outside the realm of possibility that he might see Bitcoin as a way to, disrupt the status quo.
Okay, I'm listening, but is there any actual evidence to support this claim, or is it just like a hunch?
To be honest, that's where the analysis gets a little thin. They don't go deep into the why behind this prediction.
So more of a what-if scenario than a sure thing.
Exactly. It's a thought-provoking idea, but not necessarily a slam dunk.
All right, fair enough. So we've got the technicals, the market players, the macro trends, and now a potential political wild card. Is that everything? Did I miss anything?
Well, there is one more thing. They touch upon a concept that's always a hot topic in the crypto world. Seasonality.
Seasonality? You mean like how pumpkin spice lattes suddenly appear in August?
Not exactly, but I get your point. They're specifically talking about how historically October to April has been Bitcoin's boom period.
Oh, really? Like clockwork? Every year?
Well, it's not quite that simple. Seasonality is definitely a real thing in financial markets, but it's not always as easy as looking at a calendar and predicting the future.
Right. Past performance is not indicative of...
Exactly. It's one data point among many. And it's important to remember that this same analysis acknowledges that May to September is typically a period of accumulation for Bitcoin.
So if we're supposedly in this accumulation phase right now, and all these other factors are lining up just right, it makes you wonder, right? It does feel like all signs point to yes, at least according to this analysis. But are we really staring down the barrel of a Bitcoin breakout? What do you think?
The million-dollar question. And while this analysis does lay out a compelling case, you got to remember predicting the future, especially with something as wild and unpredictable as Bitcoin. It's a fool's errand, my friend.
So no guarantees. Got it. But before we wrap up, this analysis does throw us one more little nugget. Something about altcoins, how they might play into all of this. Did anything there stand out to you?
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, there's this one bit. They suggest that historically, the biggest altcoin rallies, they tend to happen after Bitcoin goes on a run.
So Bitcoin surges, altcoins follow.
That's the gist, yeah.
But timing is key, right? Like, don't go all in on altcoins just yet.
Right. This analysis implies that right now, while things are relatively calm, while Bitcoin is in this supposed accumulation phase, this could be prime time to be looking at altcoins, like getting in on the ground floor before the rocket takes off.
Interesting. So much for picking just one winner. It's all about understanding those ripple effects. Okay, but let's bring this back to our listeners. After going down this rabbit hole, what's the key takeaway? Should everyone just go all in on Bitcoin right now?
Listen, that's a decision only you can make. But if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's the importance of informed skepticism. We've explored some compelling arguments today, from the technical charts to those big picture trends. But remember, no single analysis has all the answers.
Right. You got to connect the dots yourself, do your own digging, and understand the risks. Because whether you're a crypto veteran or just dipping your toes in for the first time, one thing's for sure, it's never boring.
Never a dull moment. And with all these factors potentially aligning right now, well, it's a fascinating time to be paying attention to Bitcoin and its place in the future of, well, everything.
Couldn't agree more. So as we wrap up, we'll leave you with this thought. If this analysis is right, if Bitcoin really is on the verge of a new era of growth, what then? What could that mean for the world? What opportunities might emerge? It's a question worth pondering, and honestly, it's one we're going to keep exploring right here on The Dig Dive. Until next time.